name is Kimberly Drew, and I am an independent curator, and really excited to be joined by Jordan Casteel, one of my favorite artists and favorite human beings.
I am Jordan Casteel. I am a painter living and working in New York City, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about this film, Black Art.
It's such an interesting thing to think about these different generations coming together in this film, and it's really nice not only to see all the incredible things that you've accomplished, but also to see you within this context of so many people that we really respect and regard so much. In your own words, tell us what the documentary Black Art is about.
I would say that it encompasses the lineage of many brilliant thinkers, creators, who have been thinking about how to contextualize this moment in time in relation to all the moments before us. It's a perfect gathering of thought and of experience of creativity.
It was really interesting to see this director take on the subject of Black art, which is such a legacy and such a canon in and of itself. And starting, of course, with David Driscoll's work, David being such a titan within our industry, I walked away with it just feeling so much more knowledgeable.
The focus of a lot of what David Driscoll's work was about in terms of art history was the way that Black artists are subjugated to very particular boxes of experiences, that their stories are often on the forefront, that their desire for real mastery of aesthetics, mastery of their crafts is often circumvented, that they haven't been given the language that they really deserve in an art historical context to be considered as a part of the larger American narrative, because we've been so busy sectioning them out into the particularities of their gender, their race, and the Black American experience.
One of the things in the documentary that I really loved was you talked about encountering 2 centuries of Black art, the catalog, and then also the artworks that you grew up with at home. What was that like? What was your home space like?
So growing up, art was so central. I understood the importance of art and self-representation and dictating our own stories from a pretty young age, because I was seeing it manifested in the work of my grandparents, of my parents. And I think that it was mostly a kind of subtle acknowledgement that these are Black artists who were making work, and some of them still alive, are making work that are important.
Such an interesting point, because we often talk about the art of marginalized people in response or in critique of a mainstream art world. But there's so much more that happens in our private space that needs to be acknowledged.
Also to think that this documentary, it's a story told by us for us. Like, what is it that we want others to know about the way that we move through the world and the power of representation and the power of creativity in our own communities? What is mainstream, and then what is Black art, and how do we merge those things together? But also how to claim for ourselves the space that is rightfully ours in the broader narrative as well.
There's this part in the documentary where Sarah Lewis really brilliantly talks about the power of art for an artist like David Pollard, who in a time where it was illegal for Black people to be literate was inscribing words, and some might read them as poems, into his artwork. And I firmly believe that art has such an incredible potential for us to better see and understand ourselves. And I want to see what happens as more generations of Black people come into a better understanding of themselves through cultural properties.
Faith Ringgold, other people turned the door and their backs on her, but she never stopped making. She never stopped creating. She never stopped believing that her voice and her contributions were valuable. And I think it's that clarity in one's truth and their value that will drive whatever it is that you want out of your life forward. But I think it's important to remember through our ancestors and through the work that we're making that yes, we do, and the work that we're making, whether it's seen on a broad scale or not, is valuable. Following that internal, instinctual knowing of oneself and that truth, and just seeing it forward, and the time will come.
What do you hope people will take away from this documentary?
The power of representation, to begin to dissect the labels and the circumstances that have brought us to this moment, that they take this documentary and continue the conversation, get influenced in such a way that they want to know more. The need for a collective movement. We need as many people at the table as possible. This will be another opportunity for tapping more people into the room. And that's really exciting to me.